Welcome, dear dreamers, to Pumpkin Stories, a magical realm where imagination knows no bounds and dreams come to life. I'm your guide through the realms of wonder and fantasy, ready to whisk you away on a journey to the land of slumber. In the heart of every starlit night, we'll embark on captivating adventures where heroes and heroines emerge from the depths of imagination. From curious creatures in enchanted forests to brave explorers of far-off galaxies, each night a new tale unfolds to embrace your heart and guide you to the sweet embrace of dreams. Let your eyelids grow heavy as you listen to the gentle rustling of leaves, the soothing lullabies of the moon, and the whispers of imagination that dance through the night air. Our channel is heaven, where worries fade and the extraordinary takes center stage. So snuggle under your blanket, close your eyes, and let your mind's eye paint vivid worlds as we embark on a journey of a lifetime, every night. Prepare to be swept away by the magic of storytelling as we present to you Pumpkin Stories. Your dreams are but a tale away. Today's video will bring you into the magic world of Rapunzel. Once upon a time, there lived a carpenter and his wife. More than anything, they wanted a child of their own. At long last, their wish came true. The wife was going to have a baby. From the second floor window of their small house, the wife could see into the garden next door. Such fine, fresh rows of plants and flowers there were. But no one ever dared to go over the garden wall to see them up close, for the garden belonged to a witch. One day, the wife was looking down at the garden from her window. How fresh looking were those big green heads of lettuce. "It is just what I need to eat," said the wife to her husband. "You must go and get me some." "But we cannot," said the carpenter. "You know as well as I do that the garden belongs to the witch who lives next door." "If I cannot have that lettuce," said the wife, "I will not eat anything at all. I will die." What could the carpenter do then? Late that night, he climbed over the garden wall. With every quiet steps, he took one green head of lettuce. With more quiet steps, he went back over to the garden wall. His wife ate up the lettuce right away. But eating the lettuce only made her want more. If she could not have more lettuce, she said, there was nothing she would eat at all. So the next night, the carpenter climbed back over the garden wall. He picked up one more head of lettuce. All at once came a high, loud voice. "Stop! What do you think you're doing?" I'm getting lettuce for my wife," said the carpenter. "You thief!" yelled the witch. "You will pay for this." "Please," said the carpenter. "My wife is going to have a baby. She saw your lettuce and wanted it so very much." "Why should I care about that?" shouted the witch. "I will do anything," said the carpenter. "Maybe I can build you something." You say you'll do anything?" said the witch. "Yes," the carpenter confirmed. "Fine. Here's the deal. Go ahead, take all the lettuce you want. Your wife will have a baby girl, and when she does, the baby will be mine." "What?" said the carpenter. "I would not agree to that." "You already did," said the witch, and she laughed an evil laugh. Soon the wife had a baby girl, just as the witch said. To keep the baby safe from the witch, the carpenter built a tall tower deep in the woods. He built stairs that led up to a room at the very top, a room with one window. He and his wife took turns staying with the baby. But the witch had a magic ball, and the ball showed her just where the baby was, at the top room of the tower. One day, when the carpenter and his wife were both in the house, she cast a spell over both of them. They fell into a deep, deep sleep. And at once, the witch went to the tower. At the top room, the witch said to the baby,
I will call you Rapunzel, for that is the name of the lettuce that brought you to me. Now, Rapunzel, you are mine.
But the witch did not know how to take care of a baby. Rapunzel grew into a child, and the witch did not even know how to cut her hair. The girl's blonde hair grew longer and longer every day. All the witch could do was just keep the child locked in the room at the very top of the tower. She told the girl that the world was a very bad place. That was why she could not leave the tower. As she grew up, many times Rapunzel was saying to the witch, "There is nothing here for me to do. Why must I stay in this tower all the time?" And the witch shouted back,
I already told you so many times. The world is a very bad place. Now go comb your hair and be quiet.
"But is it really so bad out there? Sometimes I hear people laughing down below," Rapunzel would say sometimes. At such times, the witch would yell,
How many times do I have to repeat myself? Don't you listen to anything you see or hear out there? The world is much worse than you think. You will stay in this tower forever, Rapunzel. So get used to it.
On her 12th birthday, Rapunzel said to the witch, "I do not care what you say anymore. I am so tired of staying here alone all the time. When you're gone, I will chip away at the door. I will make a hole. I will run down the stairs and outside, no matter what you say."
Think again,
said the witch. With her power, she made all the stairs in the tower fall down, and she made the doors close up. Now there was no way for Rapunzel to escape. By then, Rapunzel's hair had grown very, very long, and once the stairs were gone, when it was time for the witch to visit her in the tower, she would call from outside,
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair.
Rapunzel would throw her long blonde bride out of the window. The witch would grab hold of her hair like a rope, and that is how the witch climbed up the tower wall to the window in Rapunzel's room. 5 more long years went by. Poor Rapunzel. She knew she must stay in the room. All she could do was to sing sad songs out of the window. Sometimes birds at the treetops would join in her singings. Then she would feel a bit better, but not much. One day, a prince was riding through the woods. He heard a beautiful singing voice. Where was it coming from? He rode closer and closer to that sound. At last, he came to the tower. "This is odd," he said, looking around the tower wall. "There is no door at the bottom, yet someone is singing at the very top. How does anyone get in or out of there?" Each day, the prince came back to the tower. There was something about that voice that pulled him back. Who was that young woman singing at the top? Could he ever meet her? One day, when the prince rode up, he saw an old woman standing below the tower. He jumped behind a tree to hide. It was a witch. He then heard her call out,
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair.
A a long blonde bride was thrown out from a window at the very top. The old woman grabbed onto the bride and she climbed the wall to the window at the top of the tower. "Haha! So that is how it's done," said the prince. After a bit, the bride was thrown from the window again. The witch climbed back down the tower wall. Then she left. The prince waited. Then he stepped up to the tower. In a voice that sounded as much like the witch as he could, he called out,
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair.
In a moment, the same long blonde bride came out of the window. It worked, thought the prince, and he climbed up the wall of the tower. You can be sure that Rapunzel was very surprised to see the prince climb into her window. She had never seen a person up close before other than the witch, and never a man. "Who are you?" she said in fear. "Do not worry, I am a friend," said the prince. "But I do not know you," said Rapunzel. "I feel as I know you," said the prince, "since I have heard you sing songs from up here day after day. You have a beautiful voice, and I love it when the birds sing with you too." "Yes, I like that too," said Rapunzel. "It may be the only thing I like, since I must stay here in the same old tower, day after day, my whole life long." Rapunzel told the prince about the witch. She told him that since the world was such a very bad place, she must always stay in the tower room. "But the world is not as bad as she says," said the princess. So he told Rapunzel about flowers and festivals, games and gardens. He told her about puppies and puddles, strawberries and secrets. Many hours went by. At last Rapunzel said he must go, because the witch may come back at any time. "Very well," said the prince, "but I will be back tomorrow." Rapunzel threw her bride out of the window, and the prince climbed down. The next day, the prince climbed back up to Rapunzel's room. He said, "I have a surprise for you," and he had brought strawberries for her. As she tasted a strawberry, Rapunzel thought, "Now I know that what I was told is not true. This world can be a very fine place. I must get out of this tower as soon as I can. But how?" One day, the prince said, "If only you could get down of this tower. I can come and go by climbing up the walls by holding onto your braid. But once I am down, how can you get down too?" "I know," said Rapunzel. "Bring me a ball of silk each time you come. I can weave the silk into a ladder. Silk folds up so small the witch won't see it. When the ladder gets long enough to reach the ground, we will both be able to climb out of here." "That's it," said the prince. Then he moved closer to Rapunzel. "We will both be free when we are out in the world. Will you marry me?" "Yes," said Rapunzel, I will." Every day after that, the prince brought a ball of silk to Rapunzel. Every time, she waved the silk into a long ladder. On Rapunzel's 18th birthday, the witch spoke to her in a sharp voice.
Before you open your mouth this time, know this. I am sick and tired of hearing you talk about how alone you are in the tower all the time. It isn't going to change, Rapunzel. Forever.
"Who says I'm alone in the room all the time?" said Rapunzel.
What? Who has been up here with you?
"No one," said Rapunzel at once. "I mean, no one but you." The witch did not believe her. She started to look everywhere in the room for something to prove that someone else had been there. Soon she found the ladder. She held it high in the air and she yelled,
What is the meaning of this?
My friend the prince brought me the silk, said Rapunzel.
Then you will never see this prince again,
Yelled the witch. She took out a knife, and snip snap, and Rapunzel's lovely bride was cut off. Holding the bride in one hand, the witch laughed an evil laugh. With a stroke of her magic, Rapunzel was cast away to a faraway desert. Then the witch stayed in the room. She knew that soon the prince would come back. The witch did not have to wait long. Soon the prince was calling at the bottom of the tower in a voice that was supposed to sound like her own.
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. So that is how he did it,
thought the witch. Holding tightly to one end of Rapunzel's braid, she threw the braid out of the window. The prince took hold and climbed up. When he got to the window, he was much surprised to see the witch. "Where is Rapunzel?" he called out. "What have you done to her?"
You will never see your Rapunzel again,
yelled the witch. The witch pushed the prince so hard that he lost hold of the window, and down he fell. The prince landed on some bushes below. That helped with the fall, but the bushes had sharp thorns. Some of the thorns went into his eyes, getting him blind. For 2 years, the poor blind prince wandered the world, looking for Rapunzel. From morning to night he called out for her, but it was no use. At last he reached the desert. One day he heard a beautiful voice singing. "Oh, I know that voice," he thought. It was his dear Rapunzel. He went closer and closer to the voice he knew so well. "My prince," called Rapunzel when she saw him. The two of them hugged tight. 2 tears of joy fell into the eyes of the prince. All at once, he could see again. And what happened next? Well, I'm sure you can guess. The prince and Rapunzel went back to the kingdom where the prince lived. They were married as soon as they could. The prince became king of the land and Rapunzel became queen. The two of them lived happily ever after. The end. I hope you enjoyed this one. Good night and sweet dreams from Pumpkin Stories.